Okay, so yeah, as I predicted last week, it was the fight between between Weiss and Killer pretty much played out exactly as I thought it would, with Weiss losing and being taken as a hostage alongside Rebecca, Happy, and Pino. Pretty much meaning at this point it falls upon Shiki and possibly Labilia to save them, which yeah, I do need to talk about the setup for this because while I hate making these comparisons nowadays, I do feel the need to mention that it is interesting to note how I would normally hate this setup. I would normally hate the setup because of pretty much because of how much Mashima utilized it in Fairy Tail. But having Shiki being the only one to step in and help in this situation feels like the much more natural course in this situation. And I think there's two very simple reasons for that. The first and more obvious one is how, despite Wizard being defeated, the fact that both Weiss and Rebecca lost shows the Dark Stars aren't like any enemies the crew had faced before. They are a legitimate threat that you cannot let your guard down for even a second. And by extension of presenting them in this way, it has the added effect of building upon Ziggy as well. It is even more of a dangerous threat. It's not just presentation. Like we pretty much all knew Ziggy was a threat from the very get go, the moment he turned evil. But by seeing how powerful, how conniving, how manipulative the Dark Stars are, it gives us even more reason to say that if the Dark Stars are this powerful and this much of a threat, then we have to be then the crew has to be wary of Ziggy. Like Shiki cannot treat Ziggy with kid gloves. He needs to go all in against Ziggy at this point, otherwise he will lose. That is just a simple fact of it. And the Dark Stars just again the Dark Stars themselves prove this. Um the second reason the setup of Shiki needing to save everyone works for me though is in how the others were defeated. Like when you really look at how the others were defeated, they were essentially blindsided, and in Weiss's case, he was emotionally crippled. Like Killer at a return was using his mother as a means to basically as a means to kind of just kind of like cripple Weiss's morale and his conviction in order to fight him, and at the same, and it's one of those interesting things where even though you could say Weiss technically lost, I think you could say he still won a moral battle by showing his emotions are what make him who he is. It isn't a weakness in order to care about others, and especially when it comes to his mother. And in this matter, it feels a lot like and because of just how these battles were handled, it just feels a lot less like Shiki is stealing the moment away from the other characters and actually wanting to and it feels more like a situation of like actually saving them from a very real and credible threat. Now, I do want to dive a little bit more into the situation with Labilia at the end of the chapter, as Clown and Killer have made it onto the Eden Zero, and even though I said that just recently that in this first section that Labilia might possibly be of help in rescuing the others, that's kind of a big if on my part, because while I don't deny that Labilia has proven she can hold her own well enough against those two, I think she'll only be able to hold them off for so long. Like if not if like and if she is gonna fight them, she needs to play it fucking smart. Otherwise, she's going to get killed. But even then, even if she does play it the smartest she can against them, she can only hold them off for so long without support from Shiki. And in this situation, there's only one of two scenarios I see playing out here. Either Labilia holds them off long enough in order for Shiki to get there, but ultimately he's going to get defeated, or my greater fear, she gets killed. Or the other option is that this will be her moment where we see her awaken an ether gear, especially considering the high stress she'll be under fighting these two. Or maybe it's none of those two, and she'll ultimately just going to get thwacked aside by them without putting up a fight. But again, given the way Mashima has made more of an attempt to give his characters their moment with Eden Zero, I'd be surprised if it wasn't in some way either one of the two other options or a combination of the two, because that just doesn't feel like he'd waste Labilia with all that he has set up with her so far, even if some of it does still feel a little retroactive in trying to fix her character. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like it is one of those things where even though I like Labilia, I recognize that a lot of this is kind of like it's Mashima's, I think, attempt to try to fix the problem he created with the character, unfortunately. Um, with all that said, we get to see more of the battle between Crow and the faction of the Eden Zero crew that have engaged him. And honestly, I'm probably reading way too much into the dialogue, but between Holy saying she'll pretty much finish off Crow for good this time, and Hermit saying to not do anything reckless, it's almost a guarantee Holy will do something reckless. In fact, I feel that that small change is more than likely hinting at the idea that Holy is going to ultimately sacrifice herself to guarantee that Crow is defeated by doing exactly what Hermit wanted her, like had warned her not to do, which is pin Crow down in some way so he can't escape the Eden Zero's cannon. With now whether that'll actually kill him, I have my doubts, but if that is the play Holy is going for, then I think we should, like, at this point, if Holy's gonna do the suicide thing, then we need to see like a flashback backstory for Holy at this point, like very soon at this. Like if this is in fact like her final, this is gonna be her final moments, her going in full throttle without like to take him down, like then yeah, I definitely need to see what Holy's backstory was and how this affected her fully, I think. And I'll just be honest, with Clown and Killer on board the ship, I'm also very worried for Hermit and Ivory, because just the fact that Mashima decided to actually have the Dark Star's counterparts for those two make the proactive move of coming aboard their like the Eden Zero, it's really one of those things that has me asking, Mashima, what are you doing? Like, if there was ever a time I would fear for Herman and Ivory getting killed, this would be the moment. And I'm praying to God Mashima doesn't, but he hasn't shied away from killing these like key characters like this either. So if he does end up like it's gonna like killing them is going to emotionally wreck me. I'm not gonna lie, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does it either. Like it is one of those weird things where at this point you just can't assume anyone is safe with Eden Zero, honestly. Now I guess from there it's the bigger question of now. I guess with all that being said, it is kind of the bigger question of whether or not like their deaths would be permanent, like with Valkyrie and what is it? Like with Valkyrie and with Witch, or if they can be brought back via Cat Leaper. But again, given what Ziggy has said up to this point about this being like the last timeline and all that shit, it's probably likely it's going to be permanent. And honestly, in that same vein as well, though, I gotta say I am worried for Homura as well, because the revelation, the whole revelation from Scott from her side of things, with Brigandine saying that when he was brought back, that his sole mission was to defeat the heir of Valkyrie, and especially designed with that purpose in mind, is making me think that everyone considered to be a Starshine has a target on their back to die. Now, I have a little more faith in Homer to survive this, because even though we don't have much of a comparison to draw from, I'd say Homura now is a lot stronger than Valkyrie was. And if we are going off narrative trends, another thing that makes me feel that Homura will survive, aside from being a main character, is looking back on Valkyrie's death, and even Witch's as well. I think Mashima is going for an end to the era of the first generation of Starshines, and that the humans will be the ones to take up those mantles and pretty much carry on from here, or maybe that there won't be a so Weiss taking over for Hermit, Rebecca I'm assuming taking over for Ivory. Again, this is all kind of speculation, and I'm not going to guarantee Ivory, and I'm not even sure Ivory and Hermit will die, but I wouldn't put it past Mashima either, and because that just feels what he's doing here, or maybe even we'll have a situation where there pretty much just isn't going to be a next generation of Starshine. It's going to be just up to the crew themselves to carry on without them, and I'm not gonna lie, that does kind of worry me a bit, but it'll be interesting to see what route Mashima decides to go regardless. And yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll, be sure the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just have a video on, guys. Dark Knight of Me, signing off. Later, everyone.